Seniors, 3 foods you should never reheat, and 3 you must reheat. Have you ever felt unexpectedly tired after lunch? Maybe your legs feel heavier, your memory foggier, or your stomach more unsettled and you just chalk it up to aging. But what if I told you the real reason could be something hiding in your microwave? Every day, millions of seniors reheat leftover meals with love, not realizing that certain foods, once reheated, can quietly damage your digestion, raise your blood sugar, or even strain your heart. And the scariest part? The symptoms build slowly. By the time you notice, the harm may already be done. But here's the good news: not all leftovers are bad. Some, when warmed the right way, can actually protect your body, sharpen your mind, and keep you moving with strength and purpose. In this video, I'll show you which foods to reheat for health and which to leave behind. You'll learn simple changes that could restore energy, comfort, and clarity starting with your next meal. If that sounds helpful, gently tap that subscribe button. This channel is your space for simple, caring advice to help you stay strong, free, and thriving at any age. Part 1. The surprising power of reheating whole grains, oats, and brown rice. The journey to better health in our later years doesn't always begin with big leaps. Often, it starts with quiet routines like what we choose to warm up for breakfast. And among the simplest, most overlooked habits with surprising impact is how we reheat whole grains. Many seniors grew up with warm bowls of oatmeal or plates of rice as part of their everyday life. But what few realize is that when these grains are cooked, cooled, and then gently reheated, something remarkable happens. They produce a compound known as resistant starch. This isn't just nutrition jargon. Resistant starch behaves like soluble fiber, meaning it passes through the digestive tract slowly, feeding beneficial gut bacteria along the way. For seniors, this matters more than ever. As we age, digestion slows and blood sugar control becomes more challenging. According to a 2020 study published in Nutrients, resistant starch has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity by up to 33%. For older adults managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, that can mean the difference between steady energy and a dangerous sugar crash. Reheated oatmeal, for instance, doesn't just fill the stomach, it supports heart health by providing beta-glucan, a soluble fiber known for lowering LDL cholesterol. The American Heart Association notes that just 3 grams of beta-glucan daily can reduce LDL by 5 to 10%. Meanwhile, brown rice, when reheated properly, retains its natural magnesium and B vitamins, critical nutrients for nerve health, muscle function, and blood pressure regulation. And it's not just science. Many older adults report that beginning the day with warm oats or rice helps them feel grounded and energized longer. There's emotional comfort in that warm, familiar bowl, but also biochemical support for cognitive clarity and metabolic stability. But there's an important caveat. How these grains are reheated matters deeply. Microwaving at high temperatures can destroy these benefits and even make digestion harder. Instead, gentle reheating with a splash of water on the stove or a quick steam retains the resistant starch and prevents nutrient loss. This subtle shift can change the trajectory of a senior's day, rather than experiencing a mid-morning energy dip or post-lunch grogginess. A breakfast built on smartly reheated grains lays a foundation for steady vitality. So before reaching for sugary cereal or processed toast, consider this: your fridge may already contain a health-boosting meal that just needs a gentle reawakening. And this is where our journey really begins, because not all leftovers are created equal. Let's now move from the warmth of grains to another comforting classic that, when reheated properly, can become one of the most healing dishes in a senior's kitchen: vegetable soup. Part 2. Reheated vegetable soup. More than just comfort. After grains, there's perhaps no meal more soothing or culturally rooted than a bowl of soup. For many older adults, soup is more than just a dish. It's a symbol of care, simplicity, and warmth. But few realize that when vegetable soup is stored properly and reheated with intention, it can become a medicinal powerhouse. The secret lies in what happens to vegetables after cooking. When sturdy vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, celery, and leafy greens are simmered and then cooled, their plant cell walls begin to soften. This process, according to research published in the Journal of Food Composition and Analysis, allows more phytonutrients and minerals to be released during subsequent reheating. In practical terms, this means your leftover soup might be more nutrient-dense the next day than it was fresh from the pot. These changes can have profound effects on aging bodies. Seniors often experience inflammation, weakened immune response, and joint discomfort as part of the aging process. But reheated vegetable soup, especially when made with anti-inflammatory ingredients like garlic, turmeric, or parsley, can provide a daily defense. A study by the International Journal of Molecular Sciences found that regular consumption of turmeric can reduce systemic inflammation by up to 30%, while garlic has been shown to support immune cell function in older adults. Hydration is another critical factor. Many seniors struggle to consume enough water, leading to fatigue, constipation, and even confusion. A warm bowl of soup provides not just nutrients, but also fluid in a highly digestible form. It's easy on the stomach, accessible to those with dental issues or low appetite, and calming to the senses, especially when digestion slows or appetite wanes. There's also something quietly powerful in the emotional experience of soup. It often recalls memories of family kitchens, quiet evenings, or simpler times. This emotional nourishment can enhance meal satisfaction and encourage consistency in healthy habits, something that becomes harder to maintain with age. A 2018 meta-analysis in Appetite found that emotional connection to food significantly improves adherence to dietary recommendations in older adults. But as with grains, the method of reheating is key. Boiling soup aggressively can break down water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and folate, while microwaving in plastic containers can leach harmful compounds into the broth. The best approach is gentle stovetop warming in a ceramic or stainless steel pot. This not only preserves the nutritional profile, but enhances the texture and aroma, important details for those with dulled taste or smell due to medication or age. When reheated properly, soup can transition from a comfort food to a form of self-care. It's no longer just about getting full, it's about giving the body what it needs to function well, repair itself, and feel supported. And just like a strong foundation supports a house, a well-reheated soup can support the aging body through cold seasons, fatigue, and everyday challenges. But not every familiar dish offers this kind of support. In fact, some seemingly harmless staples like eggs can quietly work against your digestive system and heart when reheated. Let's move now to one of the most misunderstood but commonly consumed leftovers, the egg. Part 3: Eggs, when reheating, turns a nutritious food into a digestive burden. Following the healing warmth of vegetable soup, it might feel natural to think of eggs as the next go-to food for nourishment and simplicity. After all, they're packed with protein, easy to prepare, and for many seniors, they're a daily staple. But unlike soup or grains, eggs undergo critical structural changes once cooked and then reheated, changes that can quietly compromise your digestion, cardiovascular health, and even mental clarity. Freshly cooked eggs are indeed nutrient-dense. They're rich in vitamin D, choline for brain health, and high-quality protein essential for maintaining muscle mass as we age. But once cooled and then reheated, particularly in high-heat methods like microwaving or pan frying, the protein structures in eggs become denatured for a second time. This double denaturing makes them harder to break down in the stomach and may lead to bloating, slower digestion, and increased gastrointestinal discomfort, especially in those over 60 with already reduced stomach acid and enzyme production. More concerning is the oxidation of cholesterol during the reheating process. When eggs are fried or scrambled in oil and then reheated, the fats in the yolk can oxidize. A 2019 study in the journal Lipids in Health and Disease confirmed that oxidized cholesterol plays a significant role in promoting atherosclerosis, the hardening of arteries. Seniors are already at higher risk for heart disease. Adding oxidized cholesterol to the mix only deepens that risk. And these effects don't always manifest with immediate discomfort. Instead, They might show up as persistent afternoon fatigue, mild nausea, or that mental fog many attribute to just getting older. But the root could be biochemical, not chronological. Reheated eggs can subtly derail the body's natural processing systems, especially when paired with processed oils or dairy-based ingredients. From a practical perspective, many seniors store eggs in plastic containers and reheat them the next day as a time saver. But this convenience can come at a cost. A study by the Environmental Health Perspectives Journal found that microwaving food in certain plastics can release endocrine-disrupting chemicals like bisphenol A, BPA, which are associated with higher risks of blood pressure spikes and hormone imbalance. Two issues already prevalent in older adults. Still, this doesn't mean eggs should be avoided. In fact, they remain one of the most affordable and efficient protein sources available to seniors. The key is timing and method. Eating eggs fresh, within minutes of being boiled or gently poached, preserves their benefits without triggering harmful reactions. If you must reheat them, do so at a very low temperature using steam or water rather than dry heat. Understanding how something so familiar can quietly impact your body is empowering. These aren't just nutritional facts, they're small adjustments that can lead to more comfortable digestion, improved circulation, and better brain performance in daily life. Now that we've addressed eggs, a food often praised but misunderstood, we turn to another item that many seniors rely on without question: mushrooms. Earthy, mild, and seemingly innocent. Reheated mushrooms can carry risks that most people never even consider. Let's examine why the next warm plate of mushrooms might not be as safe as it seems. Part 4: Mushrooms. When a superfood becomes a microbial risk, just as eggs can shift from healthful to harmful with the simple act of reheating, mushrooms present an even more deceptive risk. They are often considered a nutritional gem low in calories, high in antioxidants, and gentle on the stomach. For seniors especially, mushrooms appear ideal. They're easy to chew, digestible, and packed with B vitamins, selenium, and ergothioneine, a unique antioxidant shown to reduce oxidative stress in aging brains. But this promise begins to unravel when mushrooms are cooked, cooled, and then reheated. The problem begins at the cellular level. Mushrooms are composed of delicate proteins and amino acids that are structurally altered when first cooked. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Cooking makes them easier to digest and unlocks nutrients. But when these cooked mushrooms are stored for several hours or overnight and then reheated, those same proteins begin to break down further, forming compounds that can be difficult for the aging digestive system to tolerate. Seniors with reduced enzyme production may experience bloating, cramping, or even mild nausea after eating reheated mushrooms, not because the mushrooms were bad, but because the body's tolerance is more fragile with age. Beyond digestion, a more serious concern lies in microbial activity. Mushrooms, especially when sautéed in oil or butter, can become breeding grounds for bacteria if they're stored improperly or not reheated thoroughly. Listeria monocytogenes and Clostridium perfringens are two pathogens that thrive in improperly stored cooked foods. The CDC reports that listeriosis hospitalizes roughly 1,600 Americans each year, many of whom are over 65. For seniors with compromised immune systems or chronic illness, even mild exposure to these bacteria through reheated food can lead to serious infection or lingering malaise. Storage habits matter deeply here. If mushrooms are left at room temperature for more than 2 hours or stored in airtight containers without refrigeration, bacterial risk rises significantly. But even refrigeration isn't a guaranteed safeguard. If reheating doesn't bring the internal temperature of the food to at least 165 to 70, bacteria can survive and cause symptoms ranging from mild digestive upset to more systemic issues. The National Institute on Aging stresses that older adults should avoid reheating high-risk items unless they are absolutely certain of proper storage and cooking temperature. This might seem excessive for something as simple as mushrooms, but when health becomes more vulnerable, even small mistakes can carry weight. The risk isn't dramatic in every case, but it's cumulative. Over time, repeated exposure to oxidized proteins, Low-level bacterial growth and digestive strain can contribute to that overall fatigue or mental cloudiness that slowly chips away at quality of life. What's the solution? The simplest is to enjoy mushrooms fresh. Use them in meals you plan to eat right away. If you do have leftovers, consider removing mushrooms from the main dish before storing and reheating the rest separately. This extra step can protect you from both nutritional degradation and microbial threats. As we've seen, even nutrient-rich foods like eggs and mushrooms come with conditions when it comes to reheating. But perhaps the most surprising and overlooked culprit is still ahead: the humble white potato. Often praised for its comfort and simplicity, reheated white potatoes carry a metabolic risk that could be quietly undermining your energy and blood sugar control. Let's take a closer look. Part 5, White Potatoes, a comfort food with hidden metabolic consequences. After exploring the risks of reheated mushrooms, it's clear that even wholesome foods can carry silent dangers when not handled properly. But perhaps the most deceptive of all is the food many seniors find comfort in: white potatoes. Soft, familiar, and deeply tied to tradition, they are a staple in many American homes. However, once cooked, cooled, and reheated, especially in oils or creams, white potatoes can quietly contribute to metabolic instability in older adults. The key issue lies in the type of starches white potatoes contain. When freshly boiled, they already have a high glycemic index, meaning they break down quickly into glucose and can spike blood sugar levels. This is problematic for seniors, as insulin sensitivity naturally declines with age. But things get worse when these starches are allowed to cool and then reheated. A process known as starch retrogradation occurs, which alters the starch structure in a way that can both increase resistant starch and simultaneously promote the formation of acrylamide, a compound linked to inflammation and nerve damage, when potatoes are reheated at high temperatures like frying or microwaving. Data from the American Diabetes Association shows that individuals over 60 are at heightened risk for glucose intolerance. Sudden blood sugar spikes caused by high glycemic foods can lead to post-meal fatigue, brain fog, and, over time, insulin resistance. Reheated white potatoes, particularly when consumed in butter-laden mash form or deep-fried leftovers, are prime culprits. Additionally, researchers at the European Food Safety Authority have found that acrylamide intake from reheated starchy foods can increase cancer risk and contribute to neurological inflammation issues that disproportionately affect seniors. Compounding the issue is the common practice of reheating potato dishes in plastic containers. Studies published in Environmental Science and Technology warn that BPA and phthalates, chemicals often found in food-grade plastics, can leach into food when heated. These substances are endocrine disruptors and have been linked to elevated blood pressure and impaired metabolic function. Seniors with pre-existing cardiovascular conditions are particularly vulnerable to these subtle, accumulated exposures. Unlike with eggs or mushrooms, the danger here is less about digestion and more about long-term systemic effects. A single serving of reheated mashed potatoes may not cause immediate harm, but for seniors who rely on leftovers as a mainstay, the compounding metabolic load can lead to chronic fatigue, weight gain, and an increased risk of cardiovascular and neurological disease. Still, not all root vegetables pose this risk. Sweet potatoes, for instance, have a lower glycemic index and are rich in beta-carotene and fiber. When gently reheated, they retain their beneficial properties without the same blood sugar volatility. They are a safer and more nutrient-dense alternative that can still satisfy the same emotional craving for warmth and comfort. As we've seen across these examples, whether it's oatmeal, soup, eggs, mushrooms, or potatoes, reheating food is not just a matter of taste or convenience. It's a daily decision with real consequences for health, energy, and independence. What's most empowering is that the path forward doesn't require giving up your favorite meals. It simply means learning how to handle them in ways that work with your body, not against it. To bring these lessons home and make them actionable, let's now look at what a safe leftover routine actually looks like. In the next section, we'll walk through a practical framework: what to reheat, how to store it, and how to protect yourself with a few small but powerful shifts in your daily kitchen habits. Part 6. Building a safe and nourishing leftover routine. By now, it's clear that reheating food isn't just a question of flavor or convenience. It's a matter of long-term wellness, especially for older adults whose bodies react differently to subtle chemical changes in food. The good news is, staying safe doesn't require giving up the comfort of leftovers. It just calls for smarter handling and mindful storage. First, timing matters. The USDA advises refrigerating cooked food within 2 hours to reduce the risk of bacterial growth. For seniors, who may eat smaller portions and stretch meals across several days, this is crucial. Leftovers should be stored in shallow, airtight glass or stainless steel containers, not plastic, to avoid chemical leaching during reheating. Second, reheating methods make a big difference. Microwaving may be fast, but it often heats unevenly and can destroy sensitive nutrients. Instead, use stovetop warming with a small amount of water or steam to preserve texture and nutrition. Always aim to reheat foods to 165 degrees 74 degrees to ensure safety, especially for dishes containing meat, eggs, or mushrooms. Third, know your limits. Avoid reheating food more than once. The longer something sits, the more nutritional value it loses, and the greater the risk of harmful bacteria like Listeria or Clostridium forming. As a rule of thumb, most leftovers should be eaten within 3 days. Finally, consider intentional cooking. Preparing meals in smaller portions or freezing extra servings immediately after cooking can extend freshness and reduce the need for risky reheating. The National Institute on Aging encourages batch cooking and freezing in single portions to support both nutrition and independence for seniors. These small adjustments create a buffer between your body and the low-grade threats hidden in reheated food. They're not burdensome, they're protective. And more importantly, they empower seniors to eat with confidence, comfort, and control. Now that you know how to protect yourself in the kitchen, let's bring it all together in a closing reflection. Because the real reward isn't just fewer stomach aches or steadier energy, it's the return of dignity, vitality, and peace of mind in daily life. Aging doesn't take your strength, it just asks you to use it differently. It asks you to be more deliberate, more aware, and more compassionate toward your body. And that starts with the little things, like what's sitting in your refrigerator, like whether a warm plate of leftovers will comfort you or quietly wear you down. You've seen how reheating whole grains can energize you, how soup, when done right, can soothe your joints and protect your immune system. You've also seen how familiar foods, eggs, mushrooms, potatoes can shift from helpful to harmful when reheated the wrong way. These aren't just food facts, they're life facts. They remind us that what we do every day matters far more than what we do once in a while. So the next time you reach for last night's dinner, pause. Ask yourself, will this nourish my body? Or will it slowly chip away at the health I've worked so hard to protect? You deserve more than convenience. You deserve clarity, strength, joy. And yes, even now you deserve to feel in control of your choices. If something in this video made you think differently, I'd love to hear what stuck with you. Drop a comment below with one insight or habit you plan to change starting today. Your experience could encourage someone else to take their first small step. And if this felt like the kind of conversation that sees you, supports you, and uplifts you, go ahead and subscribe for more. Because your health is not behind you, it's with you. Right now, one warm, thoughtful meal at a time.